All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do another episode of Making It Relatable, episode 22. And I really didn't want to do this today. I've been actually quite unmotivated, increasingly unmotivated the last, I would say, few weeks to do these episodes. And perhaps it's just going to be that way. Perhaps I'm just going to go through phases of, I'm like we've talked about many times before, I'm always very unmotivated to do anything. I'm unmotivated to sleep. I'm unmotivated to eat. I'm unmotivated to do pretty much everything all the time. So doing something like an episode for a YouTube channel, just totally generally not up to it. But further than that, much more than usual, increasingly unmotivated to do these. But here I am pushing myself hard to do these. Not like it requires a tremendous amount of effort or anything like that. I just don't feel like it. I just don't want to do it, but whatever. And you'll notice I'm not wearing the headphones today because we're just talking. Today we're just going to have an episode where we just talk about stuff. And we're not going to watch any videos. No, we're not doing it today. We're not going to watch any videos on anything. We're not going to do any other things besides just looking at this. I know it's disappointing. The last thing you want to do is look at this. Oh, and by the way, you'll also notice that I'm not wearing Depends today. We are now a community of 3. We're now a community of 3. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. There's no way that you can believe it. But hey, we did it. Community of 3. We're here and we're having a good time. And even though we're unmotivated, let's be unmotivated together. How about that? Maybe that'll help if we're just unmotivated together. And I'm noticing that even though I put up this Making It Relatable kind of thing here, it's totally getting in the way of my head. So we're going to have to bring this up another couple notches at some point where I can sort of make this a little more transparent or in the background. So if I move in front of it rather than it being in front. I have no clue how to do that right now. And I'm not going to bother trying to figure it out. Maybe I'm not going to figure it out at all ever, but it'd be kind of cool if I could figure that out. Also, have you ever had, this is just something, a thought that came to mind just as I was starting this. Have you ever had a moment where you're writing something out and as you're writing it out, you are wondering if you're spelling it correctly and you're looking at it and you're like, but I don't think there's any other way to spell this, but and I've used this word so many times before. So it happened with episode, like I tried to write episode 22 here. So it happened with that. And I'm writing episode and I'm like, am I spelling this correctly? And of course I look it up. I have to double check myself. I question myself all the time. Am I doing this correctly? Is this so? I looked up the word. It is spelt correctly, but I'm just wondering if that has ever happened to you before. How many times have I spelled? I've at least spelt the word episode 22 times in my life. At least I've done that, which should be enough times to know whether or not you're spelling correctly. And also, when I've put it, like when I've spelt it out, actually probably more than 22 times because I probably 44 times, maybe even more times than that now, because I first write it in the description for the video. And also I put up the name of the episode that we're on in the thumbnail. On top of that, I'm also now writing episode here on the software that I use. So more than 44, probably like 46 or 47 times I've written the word episode. Okay. So that's plenty of times to write a word and to never look it up before, whether or not you've spelled it correctly. But then all of a sudden to just wonder if you did spell it correctly. So not sure if that's ever happened to you, but that just happened to me. And I think I'm going crazy and wanted to just share this craziness with you. That's what we're doing. That's what we do in this channel. And also other things we do on this channel. Other things. What are other things we do in this channel? You're part of the community. If you're not part of the community, you wouldn't know this. And it's no fault to you. But you should join the community to also not join the community, because that's what we do here. We don't subscribe to YouTube channels. No, we don't do that. We don't comment about anything. So like I said before, let me know, but also don't let me know. And we also don't like videos to help with the algorithm, to help with the channel, to let it grow, to let more people know about it. No, we're not going to do any of that. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? No, you're not. No. We're rebellious. We do things different than every other channel. And since every other channel on YouTube asks you to do all these things, we ask you to specifically not do any of those things. Don't do any of that stuff. In fact, oh, wouldn't this be awesome? Wouldn't this be awesome if we can get to the point where we can get like tons of views on each episode, but have like very little subscribers. You know what I mean? Like, that would be kind of interesting. That'd be kind of interesting to have, let's say, I don't know, we have right now 4 subscribers, community of 3 really, because 2 of those subscribers are me, because I have 2 other channels. So I'm upping the subscribers. I'm cheating the system a little bit by subscribing to my own channel. But in any case, it's 2 of those subscribers. I can't do math. There's me, of course, and I know 2 other I know we have a new subscriber. So thank you for being here. And also, by the way, I did mention last video that if we get a new subscriber, I will wear Depends for the whole entire episode. But I'm not doing that. What do you think about that? Wait, do you feel tricked? Do you think I tricked you into subscribing? Did I do that? Maybe. It's arguable. But I just decided in the moment I said it. And in the moment I thought it, and in the moment I was thinking to myself that I'm going to actually do this. But then I decided not to, just because I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. So if you're mad, if you're feeling all kinds of stuff, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. But this is the way that sometimes life goes this way. Sometimes you're told something, and sometimes that's how we want things to be in a moment. And, as the person's telling you the information, they're thinking that that's what's going to happen. And then they just decide later not to do it. And sometimes that's just how it goes. So that's sometimes just how it goes. Not too often. I don't do that too often. I really don't. I can say that quite, I think that I'm pretty bang on about that. I think I'm pretty bang on about the fact that I don't typically do that. Typically, if I say I'm going to do something, I follow through and I do it. No matter how unmotivated I am, no matter how much I don't actually want to do it, I do it anyways. Except this time, I decide, nope, don't want to do that. I just don't want to. Yeah. And you can be mad, and I get it, and fair enough. But also we can just move on. So now I, as usual, have written down some things that I'm going to talk about. And let's do it. Let's jump right into it. So, was hanging out with my buddy. It was pretty good to hang out with my buddy. Again, the guy who got shot 3 times. And it's looking like he's changing his life around dramatically, and he's making some really solid decisions in his life. So really, really proud of him for that. So just wanted to give you a little bit of an update that he's doing well. All is good. The guy's gaining weight, which is amazing. They had to take out his spleen. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but they had to take out his spleen. It's wild stuff. Like, he lost like 100 pounds. He was already a pretty small guy. And now he's gained a lot of weight back. He is eating decently. Still needs to eat a lot more, but he's doing better. It's looking pretty good. So just updating you on that, letting you know he's doing well, and we're going to try to hang out again. And this is awesome. This is awesome stuff. Now, also, I wanted to talk a little bit about and share my thoughts about the Institute of Marriage. So sometimes we talk about some controversial topics here. Sometimes we do. And with a controversial topic, I recognize there's going to be multiple viewpoints, multiple ways of thinking about things. This is just my way of thinking about this. I'm not trying to impose my way of thinking about this onto you. I'm not trying to say that you should think like me. No, absolutely. I think what makes the world go round is that there are different viewpoints, different ways of thinking about things. And I think it's great to be able to just talk about these things openly, have open discussion, and in a respectful and calm and decent way. So now, with all that being said, I just think that the institution of marriage is interesting. I can go into like the whole history of it and everything. That's gonna be boring. But I just think that it's really interesting that people still think that like we don't understand why we don't do so well with finding a partner and being able to get married and like, have kids and bring them up well and all this kind of stuff. And I just think that's an interesting statistic to think about, the fact that most people must, just statistically speaking, if we think about this, most people suck at personal, romantic, close, intimate relationships. Most people must suck statistically because, the rate of divorce, 50%. And then what about all the people that can't even get married in the first place because they can't keep a relationship going? There are obviously a lot of people who don't get married who are still together and all that stuff. Sure. But then also a lot of people who don't do that, who don't get married and try to just, have an intimate relationship, moving together, and that doesn't work out. And then all the people that can't even get into a relationship in the first place, those people who have been married for a very long time and can't stay married for a very long time. And I think a big part of this statistic that is not discussed or thought about, potentially, I think, is the fact that we're living a lot longer. The fact that we're living way longer than we used to. We used to only live, let's say, for like 40 years, 50 years, maybe 60 the most. A lot of people would die a lot earlier on. So you get married and maybe you're only married for a couple years and then one of you just dies because, you get infected from pricking your finger on a rose thorn or something like that because there's no penicillin around at the time. So then statistically, it's going to look like the ability to stay married indefinitely goes up, is much higher because you're just not around long enough to be able to get to the point where you could even potentially decide that you don't want to be married anymore because you die. You die way before that happens. So the fact that we're staying alive a lot longer means that you could be in a marriage for, like 30 years, 20 years, and then decide that this is no longer for me. No longer for me. I don't want to do this anymore, and I want to move on and maybe marry somebody else, or maybe just be with somebody else, or just be by myself. So living longer, I think, is a huge contributing factor to why we are not able to keep marriages going indefinitely. But also, you still can't discount the fact that we just suck. Human beings suck at close, intimate relationships and holding on to them indefinitely. And even for longer than a few years, I think. It'd be interesting to find the statistics to that. Like, what is the percentage of people that get into a relationship that are able to hold on to it for, let's say, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Most people, can most people that get into relationships be able to hold on to it for a year? I don't know. Just interesting to be able to find out that information. Maybe that's something I'll look up later. Maybe it's not, but it's just something that's interesting to think about. Now, why am I mentioning all this? Like, who cares? You might be asking to yourself, like, Adam, I just don't care about you talking about any of this stuff. So why am I talking? Because I think I used to put a lot of kind of pressure on myself to be able to hold on to a relationship for a long time. If I get into a relationship, I should be able to hold on to it for a long time. And yeah, I think my mind is changing on that. I think my mind has changed on that, where I could get into a relationship with somebody and maybe just hold on to it for a few days. And when I say a relationship, I don't necessarily mean like intimately and romantically, but just any relationship. Like, I was talking. So here's the example that I'm going to go into now. This is now going to lead into. I'm doing a little lead into what I wanted to talk about next. This is all related. So last episode, I was talking about what happened with Zia. So we haven't spoken. Probably never going to speak again for the rest of our lives, and so be it. Whatever, it is what it is. So, yeah. Now, then I started talking to this girl Fabi, which is like, unbelievable. Now, even though that's fizzled out, like Fabi is no more, and I'm going to go into why, but I think it's interesting to look at it in a way where it's like, but I got something out of that. I got something out of that. Like the fact that this girl is like, unbelievably attractive, saying she said some like really, nice things to hear. Let's just say that. She said some very nice things that I think that anybody would want to hear from somebody, but especially somebody they're attracted to and somebody that's also very attractive, physically, complimenting me. A lot of nice compliments. I got a lot of nice compliments. And you know what? That was great. So now that things haven't, and I was kind of hoping that things would move in a good direction with her, but quickly not happening. Quickly that didn't happen, but that's fine. You know what? It's all good. I got actually quite a bit out of the interactions we had, even though they were minimal. So let's talk about what happened. What happened with this girl? So we're getting along well. Everything's going great. We had a call on the phone. The next day, we're speaking, and we were speaking every day throughout the day. And I just told her, listen, like today is going to be really busy. I'm not going to be able to talk. Let's talk later. I'll send you a message later, whatever. And then later came about, and I just told her that, I was kind of looking forward to being able to talk to her, but I also promised a buddy of mine that I would hang out, play some video games with him. And we usually play every day. And I'm going to jump on in a few minutes, and then I'll probably be on for the night. So, let's talk tomorrow, and it'd be really cool to actually figure out a time to meet up and get together. So then she got like really rude with me. I think she was expecting that we were going to talk on the phone, that I was going to give her a call and all that kind of stuff. And the fact that I didn't really bothered her. So she started being really rude to me, really rude, saying, things like, how old are you to play video games? I'm like, I don't think there should be any cap on how old you can be. I think if you want to be 70 years old and play a video game, I don't think anything's wrong with that. I don't think that video games are only designated to a certain age group. I just don't look at it that way. Maybe some people do, and fair enough, but I just don't look at it that way. You may, and that's fine. You can look at it that way. But there's also no reason to be like rude and mean about your way of thinking. You can just sort of say your way of thinking without being disrespectful. So in any case, fine, whatever. I just shrugged it off, and I said, okay, fine. You know what? Like, if you want to talk, let's talk on the phone. I have like 15 minutes. So I called her. She didn't even answer the phone. I said, hey, I just tried you. And she just was just increasingly more rude. So I just said, okay, so I'm just going to like do what I do for the night. We'll speak tomorrow. I'll give you a call at like 8:30. So I could tell she didn't even look at that message. The next day, I messaged her just something nice, like, good morning. I hope you have like a really peaceful and wonderful day, stress-free day. Didn't even look at my message. 8:30 came around. I was going to call her, and then I decided, no, I'm not going to call her. I'm like, why would I call this person? Why? If this person was not that attractive, I was trying to think about these things too. Like, if a person is not attractive and they are talking to me like that, would I ever talk to them again? Definitely not. For sure not. So not saying that you have to be attractive in order for me to be speaking to you, but I'm talking about like to like build more of like a, anything. But if somebody's going to be rude to me and there's no like attraction element, like physical attraction element to it, doesn't matter who you are, girl, guy, whatever. Am I going to be interacting with you again? No, I'm not. So why am I interacting with this person just because they're attractive? That doesn't make sense. So just never bothered calling her. And I also had a pretty strong thought that even if I called her, she probably wouldn't even pick up the phone because she was pissed off because I chose video games over her. When I said to her, I'm like, I didn't even realize that this was like a choice that I was making. I am surprised that I made it, that I didn't even realize that I was making a choice that I didn't even know there was like, I didn't even know that that was something that I had even like, that was a consideration on my end. Didn't even realize, but apparently it was because she said it was. She said I made a choice. Like, to me, it's like, what choice is it? There's no choice. I'm playing video games with my buddy, and I'm going to talk to you tomorrow. Like, that's it. That's what is happening in my mind. It's not like I sat there and thought to myself, should I call her or should I play video games? What I did think is I'm going to mention that I'm going to play video games to her for two reasons. One, because, well, that's what I'm going to do. But two, also because I wanted to see how she would respond to that. And she didn't respond. She reacted. Fair enough. Fair enough. But it gave me an insight as to what I could potentially be getting into. And that's what I was looking for. I wanted to get a little bit of insight. Like, was this person going to be cool about it? And was it going to be like not a big deal at all? Or were they going to be mean and rude and critical and all that kind of stuff? So chose the latter, and awesome for me to be able to figure out that very early on. So it's great. So now she can hit the road and I can move on. And like I've said before, I believe that women are abundant. So are men. Men are abundant too. Women are abundant. I think a lot of people, whether men or women, think that or whatever your preference is, whether you're a man, you like a man, woman, you like a woman, whatever it is, whatever your preference is, I think that people are abundant. I mean, look at how many people there are in the world, pretty abundant. Unless you live somewhere where you don't have access to a lot of people, fine. But I live in a major city. There's a lot of people around, millions of people around. So because of that, people are abundant. And because I find myself more attracted, have romantic thoughts about women. So women, for me, are abundant. I believe that. And just because she's really attractive doesn't mean that I should just be all for it automatically and just pursue this with her. No, definitely not. It depends on how you treat me. Of course it depends on how you treat me. So anyways, that's what happened with that. Haven't heard from her since. I'll never hear from her again for the rest of my life. And all is good. It's good. Like, I don't care. I don't care. In fact, I am quite happy about that. I'm quite happy I'll never hear about her. I'll never hear from her again for the rest of my life. I'm quite happy about that. Yeah. Because now I have one less person that she could have been potentially in my life for a very long time if I really pursued it. And if I, did the things that she would prefer me to do, then she could have been potentially in my life for a very long time. And I would have found out later on down the road that she was this person. So it's good. I saved myself a lot of time and energy. And like I also said quite a few episodes ago, I am purposely trying to do things in order to put myself in a situation where I am not going to get in any sort of romantic or committed relationship. And it's on the other person to interact with me in such a way that makes me go like, maybe I should get into a romantic relationship. And then when that happens, when I get those thoughts, I'm going to purposely put myself in a situation where it makes it increasingly more difficult for them to get into a romantic relationship with me. And then if it just naturally gets there, despite all that, then maybe it'll happen. Maybe. But for now, just focusing on this guy. I'm focusing on this guy. That's what I'm doing. And, oh, yes. So I mentioned, or did I mention this? I don't know if I mentioned this. So I've been teaching this one guy. As you know, if you've been part of this community of three, you would know that I have been teaching somebody, maybe I never even mentioned this community of three, but I've been teaching somebody guitar for quite some time. Been a few years. He used to be a next door neighbor of mine in the condo I used to live in that I'm renting out. So he, his son has like a senior position in a really cool tech company, a pretty big company. Like it's very well known. So his son has this position and is looking to hire a manager. And my student recommended me. How awesome is that? How awesome is that? Because if I get that job, that would totally just save the day. Save the day. That would bring me exactly where I need to be, exactly where my goals are, where I want to be. That would bring me there very quickly. So pretty excited about that. I had an interview with his recruiter, went very well, being passed on to now the hiring manager, which is, my student's son, and looking forward to it. That's in 2 days. So I will keep you informed about what happens with that. But just wanted to let you know, side note. Now, also, do you remember, again, you would, for sure, I brought this up. Remember, my parents were in Florida. They were hanging out with this guy who was like really nice and was being like really decent and like sounds very generous. And I was wondering like, what's up with this guy? So we're playing tennis on Wednesday. We're playing tennis in a couple days in the morning. So that's going to be interesting because it's going to be the first time I meet this guy in person. And again, not sure what to think of him at all. Seems like a big talker. Seems like one of these big talkers. You know, these people that just like say stuff and offer to do things. And then when it comes down to it, there's actually like completely different plans. I don't know anybody like that would do something like that. Again, I apologize about the whole depends things. Please don't hold it against me. Don't hold it against me. Please don't. But also hold it against me because I did say I was going to do it and I didn't do it. So fair enough. But remember he said, when I get back into town, we should hang out. You should come over to, like, I usually like to hang out at these types of restaurants and, I'll bring you out and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Sounds cool. Sounds nice. Sounds wonderful. But of course he's now not going to be in town. He's in town basically 2 days out of the week. The other days he's like way up north. And that happens all the way until October. So he must have known, because this is something that he does every year. This is like a routine. So he suggested doing something knowing full well that that's not possible. In the moment, he knew that that's not possible. So that's weird. That is weird in itself. But also, I don't know what to make of it. I just don't know what to make of that. It's just strange. So whatever. But he said he's going to come by and play some tennis with me in a couple of days. So looking forward to meeting that guy. And I'll let you know. I'll let you know what happens with that. I don't know. I don't know what to think of all these things. I really don't. I have no idea. So that's why I share them here. That's why I share all this stuff with you, so you can maybe you can help me out. Maybe you can help me out. You can, not leave a comment. You can help me out just by thinking about it in your own mind and then not sharing any of your thoughts with me. You could do that. And that's fine. That's fine. That's totally fine, because that might help me some way very indirectly. But you could also share your thoughts too in the comments below. In the video, but also don't do that because we don't do that on this channel. Okay, so let's talk about something else that's kind of just weird. So I'm not sure if you know anybody. I think we're all kind of guilty of this. We all have something within us, like a characteristic or something that we do in certain situations that we always do that maybe we're not fully aware of or whatever. But my dad is let's talk about my dad from him, because he's a weird coping mechanism, really weird. So every once in a while, not that once in a while, I'd say it's pretty much every day, multiple times a day, I'll hear from my room, I'll hear him go, "Come on!" like that. And I know every single time that I hear him do that, It's because he's frustrated with his computer or phone. It's taking too long to load something every single time. He only makes that sound, this sound. I don't know how to describe this sound. Whenever this is happening, whenever the technology is just too slow. Come on. Like really loud too. I'm trying to be like, decently, like not too loud, because, he's in the other room. So I don't want to offend the guy, but it's just really strange. So, this is now something that my mom and I just sort of do to each other. We'll just randomly go up to each other and just go, come on, like that. Or I'll just do, I've actually also brought it over to my friends, and my friends will do it back to me. And I've told them the origin. I told them the origin story of this. So now every time that my dad does it, it's just like the funniest thing to me, that he just makes this really weird kind of sound. And I guess it's a coping mechanism of some sort. I mean, what else could that be? He's frustrated. He's obviously frustrated. So this is the thing to do when he's frustrated, just in this specific circumstance. Like, he gets frustrated in other circumstances, but he doesn't do that in any other circumstances. Only this specific situation. Only in this specific situation will he make that sound. And to me, that is really interesting, because I don't think I have anything like that. Maybe I do, but I don't think that I do. I really don't. I don't know. Whatever. So, yeah. Again, just sharing my thoughts. Now, what did I write down here? Alan messaged me about his girlfriend. He's trying to get, right. Okay, so this one dude that I play PUBG with. I haven't really been playing that game too much anymore, but I'll probably get back to it at some point. But he messaged me at like 2:00. I was getting off for the night, getting off in terms of like, I was playing some video games as I usually do, and I stopped playing, and he messaged me. He said, "Can you jump back on it and play for a bit?" I'm like, no, dude, I'm crashing. He's like, "Well, can we talk for 5 minutes?" I was like, "Yeah, it's fine." So we jumped into what's called a party. So on Xbox, you can jump into what's called a party, which means you can just like talk to whoever's in the party. So he was telling me about this girl he was seeing, and how she messed around with his friend, and he doesn't know what to do. And also, like, they broke up a while ago. They broke up like a long time ago. And he's still sort of like, and we've had multiple conversations about this. We've had multiple conversations about this whole situation with this ex that he's still trying to pursue. And it sounds like she's an awful person. Like, sounds like she's highly manipulative. She only really cares about herself. She's self-centered by what he's saying. So, and even if she isn't, but if he's saying all these things, that's, without him realizing it, that's the perception he has of her. So why would you want to be involved with somebody who you perceive to be these things, even whether she is or she isn't? So I've tried to explain this to him, but he's having obviously a really difficult time understanding that he just needs to distance himself. He needs to just stop. And I don't like, and I sympathize, because I used to be like that a long time ago. I used to be like this. I used to just like get kind of, I don't know if obsessed is the right word. Probably not the right word, but maybe it's partially obsessed. But I think it's also just like pursuing something that is really not healthy for you. And it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks to see somebody else go through that, because you know that that's what he's doing is not really benefiting him and in any sort of way whatsoever. But there's also nothing that I can do to really stop it. Because I've talked about this a few times. I talked to him like this. I told him this for sure would happen. I told him before it happened. I was like, dude, she's totally going to just like, mess around, and she's going to be like with this guy and with this guy and with this guy, because it sounds like this is how she kind of copes and deals with things. So you should probably just like move on and stop talking to her. And yet he's still talking to her, still pursuing her. So I don't get it. I do get it, but I also don't get it. But also, it's really useful to be able to see somebody going through something like this, because it is just a constant reminder of what I should not be doing. So again, just wanted to share that with you. And really, there's like nothing else that I wanted to talk about today. There is maybe one last thing. You would be happy to know that I have actually already started making notes for the next video. Can you believe that? I am now getting to the point where I'm making multiple series of notes for multiple videos beforehand. Before I was just doing like, a few points I want to talk about, then I just make the video. But I've been, like I said, totally unmotivated to do these, not really wanting to do them, but still making notes about the things that I want to cover in the videos. And now I'm already on to the next one. So I don't know what that means, but just sharing that with you. And that might mean that the next video will come sooner, but also maybe not. Maybe not. I have no clue what's going to happen. And this might be the last one forever, but also might not be. And I guess we'll just see. And for now, I just want to say thanks for coming on by. I don't even know why you're here. I have no clue why you're still watching these. What's going on with you? Do something else. Do something else. Stop watching these videos. Stop. But also happy to have you here and keep watching. Why not? I mean, what else are we going to really do with our time? Right? And I guess bye for now.